All right. Hello and welcome just to family. This is giving you something to talk about, or just a live TV as I like to call it. I'm your host, Melissa Krechler. I'm an identity coach, spiritual teacher, business mentor, creator and founder of not only just live TV, but also the Women Supporting Women in Canada Network. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about your mask is slipping. And I'm really excited for this episode because I love the metaphor of your mask is slipping. So our sponsor today is, of course, a Phoenix Identity. When you're feeling overwhelmed with the mask of success and having to perfect all the time, having to be perfect all the time, and just want to shut it all down and sleep, learn how to get back in touch with yourself by first learning how to control your emotions. That's a big key on that. So go to the link in the description, the Embrace Your Emotions or Embrace Your Positivity Guide, introducing the Rockstar Method. And just to let you know with that, the Rockstar Method will be hosting a virtual a virtual seminar on how to use the Rockstar Method. So we're going to be getting into that in the next week or so. So I'm going to hand it over to my guest speaker to introduce themselves. Tameeka, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Yes. So I am Tameeka Leon. I am a confidence and goal success coach, and I work with burnt out corporate women, but also the really high achieving and overwhelmed female entrepreneurs. And my main focus is helping them just take that next step, understand what that next step is, and really achieving the goals that mean the most to them.
I love that. And I have to say, I love your voice. The tone of your voice is so soft and so comforting that I'm sure all of your clients probably adore that about you.
Thank you.
Unless you're getting mad at them and telling them, why aren't you listening? No, I'm kidding. That would be me. No, I'm joking. Okay, so today, of course, we're talking about the mask of success and your mask slipping. So you and I talked in our pre-screening interview, and I'm just looking over our notes about the challenges we face as high-profile, professional, corporate, entrepreneur women, and all of those masks that we wear. Now, when I say masks, I'm talking about the mask of success, our personality, our persona that we're putting out there to everybody, the mask of being a mother, the mask of being a wife, the mask of being an entrepreneur or a CEO, or, trying to dominate in a man's, corporate world. And that mask is really heavy.
Yeah. Really heavy. Yeah, it really is. And as women, it's almost like we're expected to just be and do everything for everybody, but we're not supposed to be we're not supposed to be our own person. We're only here to serve others. And that's the part that's the hardest. Yeah. And it's like, that's why it's for a lot of women, they don't even know what they want because they've been told everything that they're supposed to want and the things that will make them happy. So when they're asked, okay, what is it that will make you happy? What do you want? A lot of times they don't really know.
Mm-hmm. And this goes for men too, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how many men I've talked to, my own family members. I've asked, what do you want? And they're like, I don't even know. Right? What would make you happy? I don't even know. And I'm like, it's overwhelming to see. And I think that's why the show is so great, because you and I are coming together and talking about this, and people need to hear this, right? And the right people are going to see this episode and go, yes, that's exactly how I'm feeling. So I don't know about anybody else. So if you're catching us live or watching the replay, type in the comments, have you seen The Mask with Jim Carrey? I recently rewatched it. I love that movie. I love everything it stands for, but there was actually somebody in that movie when he first got the mask and he put it on, and he went to a therapist who had written a book. I think it was called The Masks We Wear. And he was talking about all of the different masks we wear as a metaphor, right? And the way that those masks are seen by other people. And we're in a society now, going from the mask in the 90s to, where we are today in the 2020s. And we have social media, we have digital, like everything's digitalized now. Everything, our faces are all over the screens. We are constantly being watched, right? Especially when we are CEOs or content creators or, high profile individuals. We have to, in essence, wear this masks, right? And I've seen so many women in the content creation, in CEO positions online, who are talking about having breakdowns because they're not being true to themselves. They don't know who they are. They don't know what makes them happy. They're overwhelmed and stressed by wearing that mask, right? And just having to be that persona or that individual that everybody is looking for. And it's absolutely heavy. I can't stop saying that. It is so heavy. And then it starts to slip, right? And I love the slipping mask, because that's like, hey, it's getting too heavy to hold.
For me, it's like, take the time to say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to take a break from everything, figure out what it is that I want. And from now on, that's going to be the focus. Because when you can finally step back and say, okay, this is who I am, now you can be true to yourself. Now you can say, okay, this is the persona that I've had. And at times you will want to pick that back up. That is a form of protection for some people. But you have to know when to pick it up and when to put it down. And you have to be able to do that on, like, in a drop of a dime. Like, if something comes up, you have to be able to pull that mask back out for whatever the situation is and say, okay, this is going to help me. Everything that I've learned has gotten me to this point. I'm going to use this to get me to the next step. But then also knowing, okay, that's not who I am as a person, being able to incorporate who you are into the mask that you show the rest of the world. And eventually it won't be a mask. Eventually it will be who you are, presented in the way that works best in that situation. But until you get to that point, I really feel like you need to be able to take the mask off so that you do have that time to decompress from the world, but then put it back on when it's time.
Yeah. There were a lot of influential people in society. Beyonce, Eminem, I can never remember his name. And last time I mentioned it on the episode, somebody corrected me. But the amount of people who have had this alter ego, this additional persona, a mask, if you will. Beyonce used to have Sasha Fierce, right? And before a show, she would create this persona of Sasha Fierce, and that enabled her to do what she needed to do. That enabled her to go up on stage, to be the woman that she wanted to portray. Eventually, she stopped doing that because she didn't need it anymore. And I love how you said that you do put yourself in that mask. My role, or my title as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, as an entrepreneur, those are roles and titles, right? Those are things that, I chose to become a mother. I'm a mother. It's great. I will spend the rest of my life having the title of mother, but I'm still Melissa, right? Mother is just that title. I'm Tom's wife, but I'm still Melissa, right? That's who I am. And being an identity coach, that's huge for me, because so many people get caught up in those masks, in the roles and titles that they love and absolutely love, that they forget, what does Melissa need? What does Tameeka need? What do I need every day? And I've explained this on the show multiple times. I spend the first hour of my morning for me, whether that's reading, whether that's watching a show, whether that's lying in bed doing absolutely nothing. That first hour of the day is mine once I get my kids to school. Right? It's me time. What do I need today? What do I want to focus on today? I know that I'm most creative in the afternoons, which is why once I'm done the show, I do the show at 1:30, and then the rest of the day is mine. And that's my time to create. That's my time to show up. That's my time to do what I need to do, and my creative time, right? I don't have to put on a mask. Yes. So right before the show, I was wearing my standard gray sweatshirt that I wear every day because I have 3 of them. So they're my daily go-to. And I took that off and I put on, this black, whatever you want to call it, shawl type shirt. Because I wanted to show up a little bit differently, right? I'm in talk show mode. I might not put on makeup. I might not fancy do my hair, but I'm in talk show mode now. Instead of everyday Melissa, who doesn't give a shit about the way that she looks and shows up, right? And I think that when we start to have the confidence, so you're a confidence coach. What do you think creating or reconnecting to your identity, right? And going, okay, I'm Melissa. Yes, I'm a wife. Yes, I'm a mother. I'm fiercely passionate. I'm volatile. I will smack bitch if I need to. Like, just whatever your persona is, right? Or your true identity, reconnecting to that builds confidence. Builds accountability, it builds motivation, it builds everything that you need to be a smarter, happier, healthier human being.
Yep, exactly. And one of the things that a lot of people don't consider is when you're stuck with that mask, when you're stuck in those personas, you don't truly know how to react a lot of times. So say you're put in a situation, now your thought process goes to, okay, this just happened. Based on this persona, what should my reaction be? Once you learn who you are, once you take ownership of who you are, you're no longer stuck questioning every move that you make because you're reacting based on your true self. You don't have to then think back to, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe I should have said this instead of this. You're not constantly questioning yourself because you know who you are and you've taken ownership of that.
Mm-hmm. And the difference between reaction and response, a reaction is an emotional reaction to something, right? A response is a logical and it's instinctual, right? Those emotional reactions that we do tend to regret or wish we hadn't have done, those are based on, that persona, that mask, that identity of this is wrong or this is right, or there are so many things that create masks in our life. Religion, politics, gender, race, sexual orientation, all of those things can create masks. And so we create these ideals and we create these beliefs on what we're told that we should be doing, right? Society says that I need to get married, have kids, have the white picket fence, the 2.5 kids, the dog, the cat, be a stay-at-home mom while my husband goes to work. And that's the traditional family style.
Yeah.
Right. And how many women who don't want that, right, have to put on this mask and pretend that everything's okay when people say, why aren't you married yet? Your window of having kids is closing. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And in the background, you're going, leave me the F alone. Right. And that's like, you're wanting to scream that, and that heavy weight is sitting on you because you're not expressing that emotion. So you react, right? And you shut it all off and you say, eventually.
Yeah, I've been there. Yep. Way more often than I'd like to honestly remember. There were times I remember somebody saying something to me, and this was, I think I was like maybe 23 or 24 at the time. And I was with a group of people. Some of them I knew, some I didn't. But there was a girl, she was maybe like 19, and she had a 2-year-old. And she was like, well, how come you don't have kids? Don't you want to have kids? And in my head, I'm like, I would like to experience my life for a little bit and at least find somebody that I feel is worthy of me having a child with before I just go out and have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't understand where she was coming from at the time. And I'm like, you're 19. You haven't even had a chance to do anything yet. And now you're trying to shame me because I don't have a kid yet and you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there are other things in the world to do. My dream doesn't have to match what you did just because you did it.
Yeah. The amount of people, even couples that I know that chose not to have children and have an amazing life, right? Where they spoil their nieces and nephews, or, maybe they choose to adopt an older child when the time comes, whatever that looks like. Society tells us, and I keep just my hand keeps slamming down on my desk when I say society, but society tells us that we have to have these ideals. We have to have this life or this purpose, and it's bullshit. I'm gonna tell you all, it's bullshit, right? It is absolutely and utterly crap. You don't have to have a life that everybody else wants. You don't have to, I want black and white house. I want my walls to be black, I want my flooring to be checkered, whatever that looks like, right? But there's people who are like, why do you like such dark colors in your house? And I'm like, but I love it. It just, right? Why is it that we tend to ask other people, why don't you have this? Why don't you do that? Why don't, all of these questions that aren't meant to be shaming, but they are, because their expectations of you are different, right? Yet you turn it around, and I'm not saying turn it around on anybody. I can't stand that. People do this to me all the time, and I can't stand it. My family is known for this. But if you ask somebody something that's hurtful or whatever, and they turn it around back on you, don't do that. But if you were to turn it around and even think to yourself, how have you been shamed? Right? How has your life been questioned by somebody who's not living your life, or in your shoes, or with your dreams and your aspirations? It's why has social media and society become everybody questioning everybody else?
It's funny. I read, and I don't know where I saw this. It could have been on, one of those hour-long scrolling events on Facebook or Instagram or something. But there was a screenshot, or somebody took a picture of a magazine article from the 1950s, and it was for women, to help them identify a husband. And one of the things, I didn't agree with a lot of it, but one of the things that stuck out to me the most was, and it was towards the top of the list, making sure that he fits in with society, or with whatever is normal within society. So in my head, I was just so for the longest time, that was the goal. Your goal was to be just like everybody else. And then you were looking for somebody who refused to stand out on their own, because you were told that your spouse needs to be just like the rest of society. Mm-hmm. And I was just honestly, I was a bit disgusted. Because one of my biggest things is being unique. It's you have things about you that nobody else has. Those special traits that you have, that's what's going to get you to where you want to be in life. Mm-hmm. The reason you want those things in life is because that's what's meant for you. Yep. So all you're doing by trying to be like everybody else is making yourself miserable, because you're trying to live up to a standard that wasn't a standard that you were ever meant to achieve in the first place. You have your own standards. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I feel it's mainly been probably in the last 20 years, maybe not even quite 20 years, but at least since the early to mid 2000s, where we're now trying to get everybody to just be themselves. Before that, it was just, oh, well, this is what everybody is doing, so this is what we all need to do.
And do you know where we learn these masks? School. Yeah. Culture, religion, all of them are, it has to be this way. You need to marry somebody who's in your same culture or race or background or any of those, right? You have to have this idealistic, right? Again, get married, have kids, do all of these. In school, don't color outside the lines. I was planning on doing a artwork, and we were talking before this. If I put pen to paper or pencil to paper, my artwork is horrendous. Can't do it. Thankfully now, though, I have my tablet and I'm doing artwork on that, and it's turning out okay. But I wanted to do a series about societal pressures. And one of them is we are teaching our very young children to conform, that they have to write perfectly, they have to color inside the lines, they have to. There was a piece of artwork that was sold for over $200,000, I think, at one point, and it was a banana duct tape to a wall. Literally all it was, right? You look at some of the greatest artists in our history, they didn't color inside the lines. I have a piece of artwork downstairs in my living room. It's not mine, it's my mother-in-law's. It is my favorite piece of artwork I've ever seen. And when my mother-in-law got it, she tells this story, and I love her story. She went to a friend's house with her husband, and he said, pick any artwork you want. And she said, I want that one. And he goes, you can't have that one. And she's like, why not? He said, because that's just me cleaning my brushes. And it is the image of a man, and it is stunning. And it was him cleaning his brushes. Like literally the paint on there is paint that he wanted to take off his brushes. So for him to do that, it doesn't matter whether we color inside the lines. It doesn't matter whether we're boxing ourselves in, and life is happening all around this box that we've hidden ourselves in, to the point where we're missing out on the relationships of our dreams. We're missing out on opportunities. We're missing out on knowledge and learning and experiences, because society, culture, religion, they're all telling us that's not for you.
I love that story. On my dad's side, we do have painters in the family. I have absolutely no artistic ability whatsoever. So I got that from my mom. But my dad and my brothers, they can paint, they can draw. Like if they just have an image in their head, they can just draw it out and you'll know exactly what it is. So I know that like my grandfather, before he passed, he used to do a lot of painting. So we do have, well, my parents have some of his artwork, but I love that what she saw in the painting was something beautiful, where to him it was just, oh, well, I wasn't really trying to do anything with that. So that's not art. But art doesn't have to be something that you try. It's just created.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And nobody comes into this house without commenting on it. Every person who comes into this house comments on that painting, because again, it is stunning. And so simplistic at the same time, right? So wearing these masks, going back to the masks, we teach each other, we teach our friends, there's a lot of controversy in society right now about, transgender and non-binary and all of these things. We've got society in an uproar about religion and politics and all of these things that we're like, in 5 years, is it going to matter? In 10 years, is it going to matter? In 5 minutes, are you even going to care? Right. And we get so caught up on that. So if you tell somebody they have to be a certain way, right, and they have to wear a certain mask, and then you tell somebody, and then they take that mask off and they put on a different mask, and then we're like, no, that mask doesn't fit you. That mask doesn't fit you. That mask doesn't fit you. How is any of that productive?
That's a big argument I've decided to stop having with people, because seeing that so many times and having people get so upset because you don't agree exactly with what they're saying or what they believe, or you're telling them that they don't have the right to tell other people how they should behave or how they should believe just because they believe a certain way. There are so many people that come in and they're like, oh, well, you have to do this, 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 and this, or you're not a good person, or you have to believe this way, or the way that you believe is wrong. And to me, it's like, how about you just focus on what works for you? How about you focus on what's going to make you happy and let other people do the same? You want that right for yourself. You have to give that same right to other people. Nobody else truly has I won't say the ability, everybody has the ability to tell somebody what mask they should wear. In my opinion, nobody has the right.
Mhm.
It's your life, however you want to live it, whatever is going to work for you. We all have our experiences that we have to go through. We all have those masks that we rotate through until we find out, exactly who we are. Don't compound somebody's experience because you haven't figured out who you are and you still want to live with your mask on.
Yep. Now, for anybody watching, we all wear masks. Every single one of us wears masks, and you're not wrong to wear masks at all. If that's how you're comfortable, wear your mask. But make sure that you're putting yourself first, no matter where you're wearing that mask. I had an experience within the last few months where I ended a very long friendship because I was vulnerable. I opened up to them and told them something. And then shortly after, I went and did something else. And because they didn't agree or understand what I had done, or my reasons behind what I done, or how I felt behind what I had done, they questioned it. And when they questioned it, it was exceptionally hurtful. The way they questioned it was an accusation rather than a question. But the entire situation was based on the fact that they didn't understand and needed me to validate and clarify what I had or hadn't done for them to feel better about it. That's not okay. And the reason I say that and the reason I bring it up is because when you open up and you allow yourself to be vulnerable and you show people who you are underneath that mask, some people may not be able to handle that. Some people may not understand. They may have their mask too tightly secure to understand where you're coming from or how you feel. In those situations, know that that's one person. Not everybody is going to be that way. Not everybody is going to question everything you do. Not everybody is going to make you feel as though you're wrong in the things that you do because they don't agree or they don't understand. So know that you're not alone. There are a lot of us, like myself and Tameeka, who are here to help you figure out who you are underneath that mask. At your core, who are you? What do you want? What do you love? How do you want to express yourself? And to create the knowledge and the security and the confidence in who you are underneath all of that, to be able to create a happy, healthy life. So, Tameeka, is there anything you'd like to add before we get going?
I'll say this is one message that I like to share with everybody. And especially when it comes to finding out who you are underneath your mask, look at the amount of time, energy, and attention that you put into supporting what everybody else wants and making sure that everybody else is happy. And remember that you deserve that same time, energy, and attention for yourself as well.
Yep, absolutely. From the day you're born to the day you die, you are your only constant. It's worth it to invest in yourself. And I'm not talking financially. I'm talking time. I'm talking love. I'm talking energy. I'm compassion, understanding, grace, all of the things that we give to everybody else. You should be giving to yourself first. Put your mask on first. Face mask, breathing apparatus, not the mask of what everyone else expects. All right. Well, Tameeka, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been an absolutely fantastic episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, if anybody would like to connect with Tameeka, you can do so. Links in the description of this episode. Go and check her out, connect with her, and learn how you can build some more confidence. Today's episode has been sponsored by Phoenix Identity, which just happens to be my baby company. Know that you're not alone. Your identity is still underneath there. It's still there. Your identity doesn't change. You are still the person you were born and meant to be. It's just hidden underneath all of those masks. So number one, learn how to control your emotions, and you learn how to control your life. So go and check that link out, link in the description. If you would like to be a guest speaker, guest blogger, if you have a topic you want to see featured on the show, or if you would like your brand to be our sponsor, go and check out the links in the description. Connect with us at justalivetv.com. Like and follow and share the show, and get involved. Join and comment and get involved with our conversations. I wish you all the best of the day. I'm your host, Melissa Krechler. A wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.